I don't know. I don't know if Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to desperately hold on to his coalition by like actively lying to people, or if he's being honest about it. The problem with Israel is you never know. You never know. It's just it's very hard to figure out I mean, I know what they want to do. They want to keep bombing and they want to permanently annex the Gaza Strip, or at least the northern Gaza Strip, right? Everything north of the Netzarim corridor, they want to permanently annex and then bring in settlers. And President Zelensky. I knew it. I knew it, brother. President Zell Disney. That's right. We elected him as president. We elected him as president. It was a setup.
Biden, but also the incoming administration under President Trump.
You hear that? Trump. I rest my case. I rest my case. MSNDNC. What do they know? What do they know?
Played in bringing this deal about. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Both President Trump and President Biden have provided full backing to Israel's right to resume fighting, to resume combat if Israel reaches the conclusion that the negotiations over the second stage are pointless. I truly appreciate that. I also appreciate the decision of President Trump to lift.
It's so funny. He's like, bro, please, I promise I'm going to keep genociding Palestinian children. Please stop yelling at me. I promise I'm never going to stop genociding Palestinian children. Come on, come on. Please, 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 please. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. In the second stage, like as soon as they give me the hostages, dude, I'm going to go back to genociding children instantly. How warped morally a society has to get for this to be the way that you plead to your, to your population. Take a second and change those b-ball shorts, bro. Those shorts must smell crazy, bro. No, actually, I didn't even sweat when I played basketball.
All the remaining restrictions on the providing of essential munitions and weapons to the state of Israel. If we need to resume combat, we will do so in new ways, and we will do so with tremendous force.
Now, Netanyahu talked about resuming
the Trey Yingst all but admitted the coalition is only interested in permanent genocide. There's a massive disconnect between the Israeli coalition position about defeating Hamas / resuming the war and the ceasefire endorsed by Americans. The three-phase deal is meant to eventually end the war, not simply pause the fighting, according to U.S. officials. It's not a massive disconnect. They're just actively trying to lie to the public again with the hopes that when there's like a little bit of ceasefire that endures and they can take out as many hostages as possible, and then Israel goes back to permanent annexation of North Gaza, then, they'll be able to do it. And we'll just like pass the buck. People will just not pay that much attention to it. That's the goal. That's the intention. But I do think partially that like our, I think our brakes are back. Wait, why? Did you see an ad? Why'd you say that? Anyway, my point was, I forgot what my point was. Oh my God. That's right. Ad breaks are back at the top of the hour and in the middle of the hour. Please subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime if you no longer want to see those ads. Just kidding. I'm not even running the ads. I debated you. Felonious, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Anyway, I think that there are probably some people in the State Department that think that Israel needs to dial it back a little bit so that they can recoup and recover, and they're just trying to take out as many hostages as possible so that they can continue the bombing process later down the line. They're trying to minimize the political penalties, but it doesn't even matter because Israel is also not a real democracy either. Okay, it's like America. They don't care. They're just going to keep bombing and they're going to keep hostages. Israeli Army Radio reports that several Israeli ministers, attendees, and even cabinet secretary were seen crying during yesterday's approval of the ceasefire deal. It remains unclear whether the tears were in response to the anticipated return of some Israeli hostages who have survived 15 months of Israeli attacks on the besieged territory, or the emotional toll on halting the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Another Israeli journalist wrote, last night's cabinet meeting was described by some of those present as one of the most emotional that the cabinet has ever held. Ministers and meeting attendees cried during the meeting. The head of the Mossad admitted that it was a terrible deal, but it had to be carried out given the situation we have reached. A terrible deal. Americans. I'm crying. I'm crying at the thought of putting a pause on the execution of numerous Palestinian children, women, the elderly, I'm crying at the prospect of not being able to bomb another hospital or a mosque after destroying virtually all of them. Okay.
Combat there, and that has a lot of people very worried because, as you know, Alex, in this first phase of the deal, it is only 33 of those 98 hostages who are due to come out. Netanyahu has said,
yeah, they're not getting back any of the other ones if they just start bombing, by the way,
repeatedly in public and in private, that he is not prepared to end this war. And that raises real questions about whether he is going to be willing to go from phase one of this deal, that 6-week ceasefire, to phase two, which would see the war ending in its entirety and the full withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. So many, many questions hanging over this agreement right now. And as I said, less than 12 hours until it is due to go into effect. Alex.
Okay. Here's Netanyahu saying that Trump emphasized to him that the ceasefire is temporary and Israel will have full backing to resume the war in Gaza. He says that Trump has decided to lift all remaining restrictions on U.S. munitions, allowing Israel to resume the war with tremendous force.
He was elected, Trump was completely committed to the release of the hostages. We spoke on Wednesday. He congratulated me on the agreement, and he emphasized, and rightly so, that the first stage is a temporary ceasefire. This is what he said, a temporary ceasefire. Towards the next stages of the agreement, we are holding on to some significant assets so that we can bring back all of the hostages, and in order to accomplish all the goals of the war. Both
Jimmy Dore replied to what? I think Bibi is saving face.
President Trump and President Biden have provided full backing to Israel's right to resume fighting, to resume combat, if Israel reaches the conclusion that the negotiations over the second stage are pointless. I
don't know. I don't know if Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to desperately hold on to his coalition by like actively lying to people, or if he's being honest about it. The problem with Israel is you never know. You never know. It's just, it's very hard to figure out exact. I mean, I know what they want to do. They want to keep bombing and they want to permanently annex the Gaza Strip, or at least the northern Gaza Strip, right? Everything north of the Netzarim corridor, they want to permanently annex and then bring in settlers and resettle. That much I do know. Like, that's very obviously a goal. And it's not just the goal of like Itamar Ben-Gvir. It's certainly a goal that I think the broader Israeli government also maintains. But as far as like what Benjamin Netanyahu is communicating right now, do I think that this ceasefire will hold? I don't know. It's entirely dependent on Donald Trump. And that's terrifying because Donald Trump is no friend of the Palestinians. Donald Trump is no friend of the Palestinians. Donald Trump's base of support are evangelicals. They are the most rabid pro-Israel people in America. Okay. They outflank Zionist Jewish people in America by a wide margin. They have much larger numbers and they're significantly more rabid about Israel's settlement project. So those two things, especially paired up with the Miriam Adelson giving Donald Trump $100 million to permanently annex the West Bank, leads me to believe that Trump might have given additional assurances. Uh-oh, haters gonna clip? Wait, what? Why? There are Zionist Jews and anti-Zionist Jews. The most rabid Zionists in this country are Zionist evangelicals, evangelical Christian Zionists. They also fund the overwhelming majority of settlement projects in Israel. This is just the truth. They're psychotic. That's why Mike Huckabee being the envoy is a massive deal. The ambassador to Israel being a massive deal. Okay, it just shows what your intentions are. It shows what the American government's priorities are, or what the incoming administration's priorities are.
Truly appreciate that. I also appreciate the decision of President Trump to lift all the remaining restrictions on the providing of essential munitions and weapons to the state of Israel. If we need to resume combat, we will do so in new ways, and we will do so with tremendous force.
Netanyahu promised to Bezalel Smotrich that Israel will be able to occupy the entire strip. Yeah. Israel's finance minister Bezalel Smotrich says Gaza is destroyed and broken, uninhabitable, and it will remain so. Do not be impressed by the forced cries of joy of our enemies. This is an animalistic society which sanctifies death and dances on the ruins of its life. Very soon. Like, I mean, he is such an obvious Nazi. I don't know what to say. I mean, he's literally said he's a fascist. I don't know what else to say about Bezalel Smotrich. Like, he is so openly evil. He's like routinely said he is an evil person. He's the one type of Nazi that's like, I know I'm a bad guy as a Nazi and I like it. Okay. Like, at least the other guys are like, no, how dare you call me a Nazi? That's like, how dare you call me a Nazi or a fascist? That's like deeply anti-Semitic. How dare you? Remember the Holocaust? Like, how could you say such a thing? This guy's like, no, I am a Nazi actually. And it's awesome. I love being a Nazi. Like, he's not ashamed of it. Some other famous choice words from Bezalel Smotrich was when his wife was giving birth at an Israeli hospital, he demanded that no Arab Palestinian citizens of Israel, non-Jewish citizens of Israel, okay, give birth in the same maternal ward, where he said, that baby will grow up to be a terrorist. Why would I want my wife to give birth next to a terrorist? Like, that's his attitude. He just literally thinks like, if you're not Jewish, okay, if you're not Jewish, you are absolutely a terrorist, okay? You're just straight up. You're a terrorist. You must be removed from society. You must be killed. He has said that it would be moral to just starve 2 million Gazans to death. I mean, he said a lot of stuff. While Smotrich opposed the ceasefire deal and voted against it in the Security Cabinet session, he insists it does not signify the end of the war. Following discussions with Prime Minister Netanyahu, a clause was added to the cabinet resolution stipulating that Israel will resume military operations with full force, occupy the entire Gaza Strip, and take complete control of the humanitarian aid, what Smotrich referred to as the Hamas's oxygen pipeline. Come on, Hasan, he's a random irrelevant guy, just a teeny-weeny finance minister. Yeah. What kind of power does this guy have, you know? I still can't get over this fucking stupid tweet. Jesus Christ. People are so dumb. Breaking. Netanyahu has informed his cabinet ministers that he has a letter from Biden and a transcript from Trump guaranteeing Israel's right to return to war after journalist Yinan Magal, host of a popular talk show on Israel's Channel 14, reports. The New Yorker, in a recent story, describes Yinan Magal as a leading of Hapatriotism, the Patriots, a nightly roundtable featuring hard-right media personalities, nationalists, former liberals, and Likud party politicians. Many of his guests, like Magal, are part of the Bibists, a group devoted to defending Netanyahu as he shifts further to the far right. Once an obscure channel, Channel 14 has become the go-to news source for Israel's growing right-wing movement. If Channel 14 is Netanyahu's Fox News, Magal is its Tucker Carlson. Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't want it to be a ceasefire, and many people in his cabinet don't want it to be a permanent ceasefire either. So they're in this like weird holding pattern. Meanwhile, Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has quit Prime Minister Netanyahu's cabinet in protest over the Gaza ceasefire deal, reports Israeli newspaper Haaretz. Called them Netanyazis. Oh, that's kind of funny. Meanwhile, it's so strange, but we are in a holding pattern right now as we are mere hours away from a supposed TikTok ban. TikTok might go dark, okay, at, I guess, 12 a.m. Eastern. And also, tomorrow, in a couple hours, we're also going to start the supposed ceasefire as well. Truly interesting times. And then on Monday, Donald Trump's inauguration takes place at 6 p.m. I think it takes place at 6 p.m. Eastern, right? Or no, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Ceasefire is in 5 hours from now. I'm living in Israel. There it is. 5 hours from now. This is a very interesting time. Shouldn't the ceasefire start already? Is Sunday in Palestine? No, it's in 2 hours apparently. Oh, say the quote. You mean there are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen? Bro, okay, E-Rob's talking shit about me. All right, I got it. Take a day off. ICE raids are slated to happen on Tuesday, starting in Chicago.